So let's talk about the driver, and in comparison, should we say, the difference between the driver and the iron. And you probably fall into the same sort of category as many amateur golfers, which is that you can strike anything from your sort of wedges up to a 7 and a 6 iron pretty competently, and then you start to notice that you lose whatever efficiency, or you're not as good from 6 iron through to driver, and often end up wondering why that is. And it's always the same thing. And what happens with a lot of amateur golfers with the sequence in the golf swing is that their first move is a little more this way, okay, which is that kind of trail shoulder coming over, hips sort of, what I'd class as sort of spinning out, so there's not enough movement towards that lead side, and this just promotes steepness from that first move. Now, when you promote steepness, if you watch my hands, if I move this way, see my hands come in very narrow this way, as opposed to if I move more this way, see they work wider, not narrow. Now, when you start moving narrow, you then have to add width. So there might be some of you that can hit the driver pretty competently, but you notice that you lose distance, and these are the reasons why. So when it comes to the driver, I like my sort of favourite go-to drill, and certainly go-to feel, is to combine a little bit of what I talked about in a previous video, and also going back to my lead hand only drill. So in a previous video I talked about trying to get this feeling of in the backswing, almost get a little bit of a sense of sort of lowering and allowing your hips to move a little to your lead side, and you can obviously watch that video for a little more detail. But it's really more important what you do from that backswing position. What we need to be doing is, as I discussed, is we need to be getting width. And the only way you're really going to get width is depending on the behaviour of this lead shoulder. So if my lead shoulder kind of goes down towards the ground, see, my hands are going to come in. If my shoulder goes more up, then my hands are going to go theoretically out. And if my shoulder goes up, that's going to allow that club to sort of, should we say, start uncocking and give me much more width coming in towards it. So when you do a few drills, you can use your driver. What I say to a lot of my students, if they struggle with driver, is practice with something even a little bit longer in the garden. So you can use maybe an alignment stick, or go and get something even just a little bit longer, like a piece of dowel or something like that, and just start to make some swings. Finish the swing like so. But the whole key thing about this is just making sure you can whip that club through and not this way. Yeah, because that club is going to be more inclined to hitting down the ground, up and through, up and through, up and through. Now, that as a feeling is enough. That sort of feeling of, as you start that downswing, getting a sense that you're trying to get that shoulder going more up and behind you and whip that club through. In reality, what's happening, if we go back to our golfer who has more of a difficulty with the driver, look at the behaviour of the lower body and the upper body. If we do it correctly, look at the behaviour of the lower body and therefore the effect on the upper body. And then as you're coming towards that hit, you're able to move everything up and through together. So you really get that sort of thrusting motion up and through the ball, that extension motion. If you go too much this way, then obviously you're going to be massively out of sequence, and you'll do well to make contact, but even if you do, you're going to lose a lot of energy. So the thing with the driver is, of course, you're going to move the golf ball further forward, but moving the ball further forward theoretically doesn't stop you from still having the same habits. Starting with a bit more tilt, that's fine. That doesn't stop you from returning with the same habit. So the idea in this video was to fundamentally really explain the importance of the sequence, and the one thing that you ultimately need to know about the driver is the importance of the relationship that your lead shoulder has on the hands, on the club, and particularly in the start of that downswing. And you really want to be getting a feeling for, as you start that downswing, moving more this way. So see that my hips move towards that lead side, shoulder goes up and behind. That allows the club to uncock naturally on the back of the ball. Avoid this sort of tendency, which then means you're going to be struggling and producing a casting motion to hit it. And the perfect drill to not overcomplicate this is just turn the golf club upside down, or as I mentioned earlier, get yourself a longer lever and just start making some swings in the garden like so. And what I do, let me give you this last little trick. Online students, I get somebody who's like this, they send me the swing. I'll get them to do that drill and record it. And then I do a side-by-side comparison and they'll go, oh, okay. And they start experimenting with that same feeling, getting more up and through the ball. And you keep giving them feedback and the confidence just grows one step at a time. And it's the same for you guys as well. So start doing the drill, have confidence, let me know how you get on, and I'll see you soon.